Hello everyone again. As usual, I'll just give this a little bit of time to get out to you all through notifications. I hope everyone is doing well. I see a Mandeep in the chat already. Straight in there. Shane Cole, hey guys. By the way, I'm not representing a jersey today. Some of you guys would have already have seen this, but I'm repping this t-shirt. It's pretty cool. So it's LeBron with a crown, and then it's got all the Laker legends in the crown. It's showtime. Pretty cool. So, what we're going to do for this episode of the Late Late Show is we're going to do a preview of the Western Conference Finals matchup against the Denver Nuggets. LakeShowScoop, Kenny is going to be the guest. He is in here and I will get him on shortly. I do just want to have a moment just to say thank you to all the Patreons that have signed up. We only launched the Patreon account a few days ago, and it was a way for you guys to help support Lakers UK and us to provide a bit more to you, to immerse you guys into the community a little bit more than you currently are at the moment. And it's gone as, a lot better than I initially thought it would. I didn't realise that we would have the, I didn't realise that we would have, struggling to say my words here, I didn't realise that we would have the reception that we did instantly, which is absolutely incredible. I can't really thank you enough, to be honest, but I'll say it one more time. Thank you. Really appreciate the support. Have got some plans in the near future to increase your experience and to enhance your experience. So I hope you do enjoy what we will provide back to you as well. Me, Jonathan and Cole, shout out to them guys. We'll be working on that. So yeah, if anyone's interested in joining, head over to www.patreon.com/LA Lakers UK. You can find it on our Twitter page as well. And what it is just before we get started, I'll just give you a little bit of a talk through. So it's £3 per month, or it's $3.50 in euros, and it just immerses you guys in the community a little bit more, whilst supporting costs that we have through Lakers UK, whether it be website fees, whether it be domain fees, whether it be subscription costs, as we want to kind of branch out to get editing software, multi-platform streaming software, things like that. So what it is for that money, which is, I was going to say the cost of a cup of coffee, but it's quite an expensive cup of coffee, isn't it? But you get what I'm trying to say, is you get added into a WhatsApp chat with all the other members, and then every single month we will hold a Skype/Google Hangout call. Not too sure what platform we'll do it on, but it just gives us all a chance to actually speak Lakers basketball with each other. And then what I'll do is from time to time I'll get guests in. So through, thankfully through Lakers UK, I've made quite a few cool connections that I can kind of rub off on you guys. And you guys can ask them questions. You can just hang out with them in a call from time to time. If you don't make them, we will exclusively upload them to Patreon, where you can watch them back. And yeah, then you'll get a shout out on the live streams, which the guys will at the end of this. And then we will, I think that's about it. We're going to add some new things in the future. There is an annual price of £30, €35 if you do want to go, all in. We really do appreciate that. But you do get 2 months for free if you want to go down that route. So I hope it is beneficial for you guys. Yeah, you're right, Mandeep. That is, I expect it would be good coffee for that price. I'm not a coffee drinker, so yeah, it does sound expensive though, doesn't it? Right, so what we'll do is we'll get Let's get Late Show Scoop in. Kenny, as a lot of you guys know him. We'll get started because you're probably fed up of me rambling on. I've just invited him now, so I'm just waiting on him to join. Hope everyone's doing well, by the way. I see a few of you have come in here. And the comments, Cole saying tea all the way. Not much of a tea drinker. Only for like fruity flavours. Hi mate, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm doing better than my AirPods. I had them charged last night, plugged in, and this
Mm-hmm.
morning, my right one is charged to 100%, but my left one has like 25% battery life. So we'll see how this goes. I might just have to take them off in the middle of this and just do it. So we'll see. But doing pretty
Yeah,
good, man.
no, that's fine. I really do appreciate you taking time to come on. And as you see here, we've got the guys in the comments
Yeah.
going away. Just quickly before Jonathan is saying the cost of a pint. When you actually go to Dublin, the cost of a pint is like €10 or something absolutely ridiculous. So
Yeah.
it's quite a few months of the Patreon subscription for that.
Well, if you
um,
got good content, man, it's worth it.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Just giving something back whilst offering. I didn't realize so many people wanted to support us. I never
Yeah.
realized that. And then when we rolled this out, some people reached out and was like, "Oh, finally a way that I can support you." And I was like, "Well, not me, but the platform." And I was like, "Wow, like, I didn't know people wanted to."
Yeah, who would have thought, right?
Um, yeah, it's crazy how much it's grown and the community that's grown as well. I mean, you're very much part of that as well.
Yeah,
Even though you're over in the US, you're very much a member of the Lakers UK family, and it has grown a lot over the past 2 years or so. I've even forgot how long we're doing this for.
yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I was born in Hong Kong, so I at one point I did have UK citizenship too. So in a sense, I kind of feel a little bit part of it. So
Mm.
definitely, I enjoy being on with you guys.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But what we'll do is we'll jump straight in because the guys watching and watching back, this will go on IGTV, it'll go on the podcast platforms.
Yep.
Obviously, it's live at the moment. Um, you know, People want to hear us speak Laker basketball. So what we'll do is we haven't actually officially started the podcast, but I'll quickly get a drink of water and then we'll get
Yeah.
into it.
Can you hear me okay? Because I only have one earbud in right now.
No, I'm all good. Yeah, I
Okay,
think
cool.
to everyone watching, just give a
Yeah.
little bit of a thumbs up if you can hear
Can you guys
okay. I can hear him fine.
can you guys hear me okay?
So, and we'll jump straight in. Okay.
Yeah.
So, hello, Laker fans. Welcome to the Late Late Show. I'm your host, Matt from Lakers UK. And for this episode, I'm joined by Kenny, aka Late Show Scoop. How are you doing, mate?
Hey, I'm doing well. I just had a sip of my coffee, so I'm caffeinated. I'm ready to go.
Ready to go, ready to go. Well, I was actually eating some food earlier and I actually burnt my tongue. So you're gonna have to
Oh,
bear with me whilst we're
oh
talking.
man.
But we don't. I don't quit because of that. We don't quit because we're not the Clippers, are we?
Oh, and we're definitely not the Clippers. Definitely not. So,
So we expect like we got that in quite quick. We got that in quite quick. So obviously we're going to both preview the Lakers Western Conference matchup against the Denver Nuggets.
yep.
But first, let's talk about them Clippers. The Clippers are going to clip, aren't they? Of
Oh my
course. They
God.
blew a 3-1 lead against the Nuggets and have been eliminated from the postseason.
Yep.
Whew. Do you want to start or shall I?
I mean, I'll kick it off. Um, I've been living in LA. For those that don't know, I've been living in LA for about 30 years now, and just growing up, I've always been a Laker fan. My uncle got me into it, and how could you not like the Lakers?
Mhm.
Just all those championships and everything that comes with it, and just over the years, just watching the Clippers, and I wasn't, I've never really actively rooted against them. I have wanted them to see them succeed, but it just seems like time and time and time and time again in the playoffs they just always come out short. When you look at 2015, they blew a 3-1 lead to the Houston Rockets. So it's just like in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, the Clippers are up 3-1. And then you start to see Denver coming back and you start to think, is this possible? Are they really going to lose again with the team that they have? And it turns out they did. And they've got a long off season.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was funny looking on. It was funny looking on as a Laker fan, but I think that when they were 3-1 up, they just needed obviously one game. That's how it works. And even
Yep.
when it went to a game seven, I was still
Hmm.
expecting, you know, them to just blow them away. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So I think that, Kawhi and Paul George, 0 points in the fourth.
Yep.
In the second half, they had something like 5 points between them. That's
Terrible.
just, yeah,
Completely terrible.
that's just ridiculous. I don't, it's not really acceptable, is it?
No, not at
And
all. And oh, go ahead.
especially with the hype that they provide and the hype that's been around the team. I mean,
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching it, but come on, if that was the Lakers and that was AD and LeBron.
Yeah. I just saw Cole saying that was the best night of the year or the season. And to your point, the Kawhi and Paul George scored zero. Not only did they score 0 points in the fourth quarter, but they combined for 0 for 11 field goals in the fourth quarter. And you can't have that from your best two players, especially not in the postseason and not in a game seven of
Yeah,
a deciding game. You simply can't have that. And not to get into this too much, but I think a lot of people were saying that just the Clippers really didn't have that chemistry that everyone thought they had. Well, I guess not too many people thought they had the chemistry, but it just seems like the team as a whole, they were just missing that chemistry piece. And as you can tell by the Lakers, what a team with good chemistry can really do, especially in the postseason.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we won't say too much more on it. I will kind of give my piece now. I just think that with everything that was said in the off season when the
Yep,
Clippers were like, we won LA
yep,
now, I just think that if they won a championship this year, you would at least kind of hold your hands up and be like, okay. But they would have been
sure.
what, the Lakers have 16 championships. They would have
Yep,
been like, what, 5% of the way of taking
yep,
over LA. That's it. That's if they won a championship this year, and they didn't. And I've got
yeah.
some of the signs up here and the billboards at the start of the season. It
Oh
was
my gosh.
we we
Uh,
over me, streetlights over
uh,
spotlights, snarl over style, driven over given, all digs, digs,
oh
digs,
my
digs.
gosh.
And I do think, obviously I'm rambling on a little bit, but
Oh yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
think
If
that
you
the
wanted to,
way that,
if you want to
the,
ramble about the Clippers, about
the,
all that, go right ahead. We can
the,
dedicate a whole segment to that. It's fine.
the way they've been covered this season is just
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like
Hmm.
it's like media members are in their pockets. Like, you know what I mean? The way that every single time the Lakers lost a game in the regular season, it was literally like, well, they're not good enough, they're not good enough. And then when the Clippers did, it was, oh, load management, it's load management. Well,
Yeah.
what were they load managing for? To bottle it in
Seriously.
a game seven? Because what was the
Seriously.
point in all that load management then?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to that point, really quickly on the billboards. So I live kind of close to the Lakers practice facility.
Hmm.
And when you take the 105 off ramp to El Segundo, and that's where the Lakers practice facility is, they
Yep.
have a Clippers billboard right there. So it's just every time I drive there to go to the Lakers facility to drop ample amounts of money that I don't have on jerseys, I always see that Clipper billboard, and it just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, man.
So, and someone was saying this on Twitter that I saw is that when LeBron James came to the Lakers, he pretty much dedicated his time in LA to really just move the game on forward and respect the game and carry on Kobe Bryant's legacy. But I think it was it Paul George when he came to LA. The first thing that he did was he did a Nike campaign and basically said that this was his city. So you
Yeah.
kind of see the contrast in the two superstars, and I got to go back and see if it was Paul George and if it was Nike commercial. If I'm incorrect, I
Oh,
apologize,
was
but
it
I think that's what it was.
did Kawhi do something with New Balance where he
Yeah,
said, this is my city or something like
something
that?
like that. It was one of the
Yeah.
two. So
Yeah. I
you
just
just
think
see,
that
yeah, it's just one side of the coin. It's like disrespectful, and then the other side of the coin, you see LeBron James and Anthony Davis just really embracing the Lakers culture and really wanting to move. Uh, the game forward. So
Yeah, exactly. Well, what we'll do is we'll let's move forward and actually speak about teams that are going to actually play in the playoffs still. Okay,
yeah,
because
okay,
the Clippers, they're gone. Lakers, Clippers, get out of here. So let's move on because we've got bigger and better things to worry about than the Clippers. The
yeah,
next thing we have to worry about, because I think we do have to worry about, we have to take them very, very seriously, is the
absolutely,
Denver Nuggets, and that's who we're playing. That's who is separating the Lakers and the NBA Finals at the moment.
sure,
So let's start and let's kind of, obviously, we'll get more in depth as we kind of, go on a bit further, but let's accelerate it a little bit. And do you want to speak about the Nuggets' strengths? Is there anything that kind of jumps out to you that, maybe the Lakers should be a bit worried about, or anything that you've kind of seen with the Denver Nuggets?
yeah. I mean, the first thing that I do want to touch upon, especially with the Denver Nuggets right now, obviously you got the two heads. You got Jamal Murray that's been playing lights out in the postseason.
Mm,
I think he put up like 2 50-point games in the first round, I believe. And then in game 7 of the
yep,
Clipper game, I think he had like 40, he put down a 40 burger. So Jamal Murray is definitely going
yep.
to be the spark. He's motivated, he's hungry. And then on the other side of the coin, you do have a very talented center in Nikola Jokic that can shoot from the outside, but he's also a great passer. So I think one of the biggest strengths from the Denver Nuggets is their 3-point shooting. In the postseason,
Mhm.
Denver is number 2 in the entire the teams that were in the playoffs. They're number 2 in terms of 3-point field goal percentage at 39%. So the
Mhm.
Lakers, they have to make sure to guard the perimeter. They got to make sure that they limit the turnovers and not let Denver get out in transition and hit that three, because a lot of times in the playoffs when a team hits a 3-pointer, that on a transition, let alone, that could really be a momentum changer. So the Lakers really have to make sure that they defend the three. And if you take a look at the series against Portland and the Rockets, I think the Lakers have done a good job in the series to really adjust to take away the 3-point shots by some of these teams like CJ and Lillard, Harden and PJ Tucker. So if the Lakers are able to limit the amount of 3-pointers that the Nuggets can get, I think they're going to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came out to me was that 3-point shooting. But the percentage was what I saw initially. They're second in threes made with 187 as well.
Wow.
And they're second in free throw percentage with 81.3%. So if they get the opportunity, they will convert, whether it's 3-point looks, whether it's from the free throw line. They will convert. And obviously, out of the active teams, they're top. So obviously, they're leading all of the
Yeah.
teams in them facets now. I think, like you said, we need to limit their shooting, just like we did with Houston and Portland.
Yeah.
We'll get into Murray and Jokic a little bit more in a moment, but I'm more confident with limiting that 3-point shot through Murray than I am with Jokic. I'm a little bit worried with Jokic. I think we have the tools to combat him, but I just think that like that. I think that would be the main problem. I mean, Jamal Murray is incredible. I mean, I was looking at a stat earlier, and I
Yeah.
didn't realize this, but he's shooting 49.1% from 3-point land in the postseason.
That is
And
ridiculous.
that's absolutely ridiculous. He's had two 50-point games. He's had two 40-plus point games. So, the guy is one of the most talented point guards in the NBA at the moment. He really
Yeah.
has come up leaps and bounds. So I think that looking again at Denver, assessing them as a whole, that they're obviously resilient, to come back the way
Absolutely.
they
Yeah.
have, because
They have. Yeah.
people are saying that they come back 3-1 against the Clippers. Well, remember that they came back 3-1 against the Jazz as well, if I
Absolutely. Yeah.
remember, in round
Hmm.
one. So,
Hmm.
they've overturned two 3-1 deficits in a row versus the Jazz and the Clippers, which is impressive. But can they carry on like that? That has to take a
Yep.
mental effect at some point.
Absolutely.
And they can't just go 3-1 down against the Lakers and expect to come back. That
Yeah.
isn't going to happen. So there's a lot of question marks. And before we move on to the players and go a bit more in depth, in the final two regular season games against the Nuggets, the scores were 121-16. That was the overtime win where Kuz hit that game winner. Where in the second half, I think Nuggets just put their second string team out. I don't think that was much of anything. But the game before that was 1-2-4 to 1-2-1. It's a very, very close contest. But in terms of,
I think
they played.
I think it may have been just the other way around. Not that it really matters, but
oh, right, yeah. Sorry, yeah. So
really.
I think that they played 4 times in the regular season, and the Lakers have won 3.
Yeah.
So I think, me personally, I quite like the matchup. I mean, we were just slandering them, but I did have a bit of an eye on the Clippers, and I was thinking, it's going to be a very, very tough series. But Denver, I'm not overlooking them, but I think their style, 2 very different styles of teams, Denver and the Lakers. But I think Denver's style does suit the Lakers, and I think that has shown through the regular season. So let's get on to Murray and Jokic a little bit more. What I'll do is I'll quickly bring up their stats.
Yeah.
So against the Clippers, Jamal Murray, he averaged 22.6 points, 4.4 rebounds, 6.4 assists. Obviously, he shot lights out from 3, 46.5 on the series. He did play 40 minutes per game as well.
Wow.
Nikola Jokic, 24.4 points, 6.6 assists and 13.4 rebounds, including 22 rebounds in that game 7. Even he shot 35.2% from 3-point land and 50% from the field. So let's speak about them too. You briefly got onto them, but what do you think about how will the Lakers, quieten them down?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I just thought about this night, but looking at all the guards coming into the playoffs before even the playoffs started, you would think about, James Harden and Damian Lillard and obviously Jamal Murray. And I would say pretty confidently, it has seemed like Jamal Murray has played the best out of those 3 guards. And who would have really thought that coming into the postseason? So I think right now Jamal Murray is and the Denver Nuggets, they're just playing with a lot of momentum. They feel that high of coming back from down 3-1 from the first and second round. So they do have that belief, and they do have that mindset of, hey, even if we do get down, we're never out of it. So I would say with Jamal Murray, he's a very smart, quick guard that likes, penetrate and shoot from the outside. So I think the best bet for the Lakers is really to stick Alex Caruso on Jamal Murray. And Alex Caruso is very active on his feet, and he has very active hands, and he has that ability to really stay in front of Jamal Murray and really just be that pest on the defensive end and just really slow him down. When it's not Alex Caruso, I would like to see KCP or Danny Green. I would say Danny Green would be my second bet.
Okay.
Sometimes he is inconsistent on the 3-point side of things, but however, as a defender, he is a bigger, lengthy defender that I think can irritate Jamal Murray and just really get in his face. So I think the Lakers really do have to key in on Jamal Murray, either by sending Caruso or Danny Green, and just really ball him up the way that they did with Damian Lillard or James Harden. So I think that's going to be really important for them to be successful.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, obviously, you've gone on to Murray there. Let's speak about him first, and then we'll go on to Jokic. And I do agree, but he's a small point guard. So I think in terms of him being so quick, I think someone like KCP might be a little bit better suited. I think it might, because KCP, obviously putting him on Kawhi didn't work in the regular season because just Kawhi's so goddamn big and long. But with Murray, obviously we can kind of take advantage of that. But because he is so hot, I wonder if like the hard doubles will work on him like we did with Harden. So as soon as he gets the ball, kind of just suffocating him, getting it out of his hands, and then just rotate as quick as we are, which I won't mention it, but that could potentially see a bit of what style are we going to play? But that will come into, we'll speak about that a little bit later.
Yep.
So I think that, um, yeah, I think probably Caruso, KCP, Green. You've got J.R. Smith on the bench as well, who can
Yeah.
come in and be a body as well. I know he's not playing well, but if he
Mhm.
can come in for a couple of defensive possessions, but it wouldn't surprise me if we doubled Murray. Maybe not as much as we did Harden, like every single possession,
Yep.
but from time to time I can see that happening, and then I'll transition over to um, Jokic. And I've seen Jonathan in the comments was saying, "Oh, should we double him? Shall we not?" My worry is that like if we double him, he's actually got the vision to pass out of a
Yep.
double team. Is
Sure.
elite vision for his
Sure.
position. And you've got Porter Jr., you've got Millsap, you've got Harris, and I know he hasn't done much in the playoffs, but you've got Troy Daniels, who we all know very much as a Laker
Troy
fan
Daniels.
that can convert. But I think as a
Revenge
whole,
game.
yeah, I think they're quite weak in the front court where we're so
Sure.
strong. I think Jokic can play front court, he can play perimeter,
Hmm.
which is fantastic, but AD can do that defensively. AD can do that
Yeah.
offensively.
Yeah. I think AD, if Jokic just stays out in the perimeter and he likes to operate in the top of the 3-point line in the middle, I think
Mm,
AD would do a pretty good job in terms of guarding the perimeter. AD is athletic, he's lengthy, so he would do a good job on Jokic. But the Lakers do have to make sure to not over guard up on him because, like you said, that Jokic is a talented passer. So
mhm.
we don't want to get so much into him and lock in and not focus on Gary Harris's of the world, or just like shooters on the side, or like even Michael Porter Jr. We can't give this team open looks from the 3-point line. So and then if Jokic decides to bang down low, I think AD and Dwight Howard, they're more than capable of, in terms of from an athletic standpoint, to really make that shot hard for
Mm.
Jokic and really just intimidate him down low. So either way, I think the Lakers on paper, this is a good matchup for them. They just got to make sure that they do play their game and focus and lock in from the very beginning.
Yeah, because we've actually seen AD lock up not just Jokic, but the
Yeah.
entire Denver team in the regular season, which is going to be huge. I think if AD doesn't want to bang with him all the time, I think Dwight will be really important in this
Yep.
series, just purely because he's more athletic than McGee. He's a bit more agile than McGee, but I think that, you know, similar to what I said in the last series, where it's like, don't get into a 3-point shooting contest with them.
You're right.
The Lakers
Right.
need to
We
play
don't
their
want to do
game.
that.
They need to don't stand isolated, move the ball, take smart shots, especially in the paint. There's a lot of the Lakers' success has come in the paint and dominate the boards as well. And when they do get open looks, remember, like eh, the Clippers had a lot of open looks against Denver, and they didn't convert.
Right.
This is where the likes of KCP, Green, Kuzma, Morris need to convert. They need to hit them shots, especially if maybe AD and LeBron go a little bit cold. We need that supporting cast to step up. Um, so this is the question: do the Lakers go big, or do the Lakers go small, or are we going to see a little bit of a mix?
I think we're going to see a little bit of a mix. Frank Vogel has shown throughout the year that the Lakers have gone big and have gone small, and they've had success with both lineups. We really haven't seen a specific series where he only stuck to one lineup until the Houston Rockets, where he pretty much went exclusively small. And when we say small, we're talking about AD at the 5. He's 6'11". So, I mean, Lakers small, it's some of the normal size lineups for the rest of the league. But I think either way, you can't go wrong with either JaVale at the 5 or Morris at the 5. And the reason why I say that was a great stat by Joey Ramirez is that
Yep.
he said that when you have JaVale at the 5, that is the best plus and minus lineup that the Lakers have had in the postseason is at JaVale at the 5. And then the second best lineup is when you take Jamal out and you put Markieff Morris at the 5, and that's the second best lineup, second best plus or minus lineup. So I think whether or not they go big, traditional big with Jamal at the center, or if they put Markieff at the 5 and AD at the 4, I think it really will come down to matchup and how the game is going, the flow of the game. But with that said, I think with Denver having a bigger presence in terms of Jokic compared to a 6'7" Tucker, I believe we will see more of Dwight and McGee. I'm thinking more of Dwight, and maybe we'll get into that later. But why not just get into it now? Because the Denver Nuggets, they're not a good defensive team. More specifically, they're not good at defending the pick and roll. So we looked at a stat that Jokic is one of the worst pick and roll defenders. He gives up the most points per possession, especially in the postseason. So if you have a guy like Dwight Howard that is a pretty good screen setter, if they could work that two-man game, whether or not it's AD and LeBron in the starting lineup, or if you have Dwight Howard and KCP running the horn screen, that horn set with the pick and roll to the basket, lob to Dwight, whatever that is, I think the Lakers will have a good advantage because simply Jokic is just not fast enough. He's not athletic enough to really go out to the perimeter to defend the shooter, or he's not quick enough to roll down to the basket and defend the paint. So I think it's going to be important that the Lakers do attack the pick and roll.
Yeah, I quite like the way that you've transitioned over to that and the way that we've transitioned in this conversation is that we can speak about Denver as much as we want. How are we going to deal with Murray? How are we going to deal with Jokic? How are they going to deal with the Lakers is the most important team. The most important part, sorry, because I haven't got it up here, but the Lakers are like top or second in the entire playoffs in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, field goal percentage, pretty much across the board, really. I know we were talking about 3-point percentage for Denver, but that's like one facet of from a statistical standpoint. So, how are they going to deal with the Lakers? And no disrespect to the Jazz or Clippers, it may come across as arrogant, but it's just the truth. They're not the Lakers.
They're not.
They're not as strong as the Lakers. They're not as tall as the Lakers. They're not as dynamic. We can check if we need to play small in this series, we'll play small. If we need to play big, we'll play big. Whatever. You know what I mean?
Agree.
If it isn't working with McGee, we'll put Howard in. If it isn't working with Howard, we'll play AD at the 5. We'll bring Morris into the fold. We've got a handful of guards that we can rotate through as well. And, I think that we showed against Houston, especially with Harden, a historically lights out scorer. We give him a lot of rubbish, but an absolutely fantastic player. And he's set a lot of records in the NBA that will stand for probably a very, very long time. And we wrapped him up.
Especially his poor play in the postseason, right?
Yeah, but just like the Clippers, which might as well bring that back in. But yeah, I think that we got past Houston with relative ease, really. So I think that I just don't think Denver roll deep enough. I think they will be tired. With that, I haven't got it in front of me, so I'm going to fire it over to you. Have you got the stats with the numbers of how long? Of how long Jokic has played, Murray's played compared to the Lakers. Have you got that there?
Yeah, I have it right here.
It's fascinating.
And this was via Mike Trudell. Shout out to Trudell. So Murray has played in the postseason 548 minutes. Jokic has played 527 minutes. Compare that to AD and LeBron. AD has played 349 minutes. LeBron has played 342 minutes. And obviously the big difference in that, obviously, that the Lakers finished off both their opponents in 5 games. The Nuggets had to play 7 games. But when you look at the difference, the combination of Jokic and Murray, they have played 384 more minutes than that of LeBron James and AD in the postseason. That's almost 6.5 hours more tread, more wear and tear in the postseason from Jokic and Murray. Compare that to AD and LeBron. So even though we talk about how resilient the Nuggets are coming back from 3-1 in the first round and the second round, you got to think that on the other side of the coin is that this team is pretty exhausted. They're pretty exhausted. They're fatigued.
Yep.
So with that said, I think the Lakers, they got 5 or 6 days rest. I think the Lakers are mentally in better shape. And over the course of a 7-game series, the Lakers need to take advantage of that and try to wear down the Nuggets, both mentally and physically. So, I saw that last night. I was like, wow, that is a huge difference in minutes played.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I was really shocked when I saw that as well. I didn't have the stat here, but I'm glad you had it there. I think that,
of course,
they can be really tired. I'm a bit worried about the Lakers because in game 1 of the first round and the second round, they're very slow, very lethargic. I think that we need to come out quick in this series, take advantage of the rest that we've had for once, run out to maybe a quick 2-0 lead in the series, something like that.
Great.
Yeah, and then go from there, really. But that game 1 is huge. You need to just go out, suffocate them and just start as we mean to go on. What we're going to do is we're going to open...
Really quick.
Yep, go on.
Really quick. So to that point, so in between the Lakers playing the Rockets and the Lakers playing the Nuggets, the Lakers have had the same amount of days off. I think it was 6 or 5 days off. And like you said, against the Portland Trail Blazers in game 1 and also against the Rockets in game 1, the Lakers came out and it just looked like they were rusty, right? Yeah. The one thing that I do want to point out that I thought that was pretty interesting was Brad Turner did point out that while the Lakers only had 1 day to prepare against the Rockets, the Lakers have an extra day. They have 2 days to prepare for the Denver Nuggets.
Yep.
So hopefully with that, in combination of, having vets like Jared Dudley on your team and Rondo and also LeBron James, they'll be able to get this team mentally focused to be like, hey, man, we can't come back. We can't come out in game 1 lackadaisical. This is a great opportunity. We got to come out. We got to fire. We got to set the tone early. So with that said, I really hope that the Lakers do come out with a lot of energy right out of the gates. And if they do, they're going to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah. And just actually quickly, I've actually got a stat here from Tim_NBA, who I was reading an article of his today that Phil on our group chat fired over. And they were talking about, not going to go on about this too much, but the Lakers playing big or small. And they said that in the in the matchups against Denver this season, the Lakers are actually plus 34 when playing small and minus 42 when playing big, which is a very interesting statistic. I mean, that doesn't take into context like who was on the court, who Denver had on the court at that point. It doesn't take into context who the Lakers had on the court, but that's a very interesting statistic to take into note there. And what we'll do is we're gonna I will note that so you did mention the Lakers went 3-1 on the year against the Nuggets. The one loss that they had, LeBron James didn't play that game. So I think that's just something fascinating to point out. Not fascinating, but I think it's kind of interesting to point out. Yeah, it's definitely relevant. Yeah. We're going to open up the floor a little bit here and we're going to take a few questions. I've got 2 from Patreon members here. It's fine, we'll do it together. Okay. And I've got 2 from Patreon members. We're going to prioritize these ones. If anyone's got any more, put them in the comments. Okay. We'll take a few, but we'll definitely get the Patreon ones in first. Don't have to spend tons of time on it. But Amandeep said, how do you think the Lakers will play Murray and Jokic off the pick and roll? I would think LeBron and AD could switch in closing moments, but what about the other 36 to 38 minutes?
Is he talking about from the offensive? How how are they going to play offensively against them, or like defensively against the pick and roll?
Let's say defend. Where is it defensively? I'm not sure. What about both?
Okay. I think offensively, kind of what we touched upon earlier is that, like we said, Denver is one of the worst teams in defending the pick and roll, specifically Jokic.
Hmm.
So either if you have AD or LeBron in the game, or Dwight and KCP or the second unit, I think the Lakers really need to take advantage of that pick and roll.
Rondo as well.
Either, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Either have AD set the pick, have AD pick and pop for that 3-pointer, or
Hmm.
if they see that they're late to switch, then LeBron James has a wide open layup or dunk to the hoop.
Mm.
Or with the other side of the coin is if Dwight's in there, we've seen so many times the connection between KCP and Dwight Howard on the pick and roll. So if we're talking about defensively, like I was saying earlier, that I think that even if Jokic is out on the perimeter, AD has the advantage that he is a lengthy defender. He is more athletic than Jokic. So I think it really comes back to the fundamentals of AD just moving his feet, staying in
Hmm.
front of Jokic, guarding the 3-pointer with his length of his arms, keeping his arms up. And if Jokic does decide to penetrate to the hole, I think Anthony Davis is quick enough to stay in front of Jokic. If if they happen to beat the Lakers and you see Jamal Murray penetrating to the basket, I think it's going to be really important for that second defender, whether or not it's JaVale or Dwight, to really step up and meet Murray in the paint, to not allow him to have an uncontested layup. I think that's very similar. So if that happens, the Lakers will need to make sure that when Jamal Murray penetrates, that if he does see, you can't see this, but I'm actually pointing to my left and right. So basically, we want to make sure that if Jamal Murray penetrates, we don't give him the free dish out to the wing for an open three. So that really comes back to that rotation, the perimeter rotation that we saw against the Houston Rockets. So I
Yeah,
think either
yeah.
way, the Lakers are in pretty good shape in either defending the pick and roll or taking advantage of the pick and roll on the offensive end. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, I mean, when I first got that question through, I thought about it defensively straight away. I don't know why.
Yep.
I think offensively, it'll just be LeBron AD, LeBron AD, LeBron AD, just pick and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll every
Just
single time we
wear
get
him
the ball.
down.
And
Just wear
that
him
is,
down. Wear down Jokic over the course of a
yeah.
series. That's going to be a good thing.
So offensively, I wasn't really that bothered, to be fair. I do agree with you. I think AD's agile to play in front of Jokic. I think that if Howard or McGee is on the court, preferably Howard,
Hmm.
I know we said don't double team him, but if he's driving to the rim, Howard can take a step over and just provide that extra pressure. And then if he does swing it out for the 3-point shot, we've got guards capable enough to either intercept the cross-court pass,
Yep.
i.e.
Yep.
Caruso, or just rotate to get in the face of them to contest the shot as much as possible. We just want to
Yep.
avoid a Jokic mismatch, really. But I do think that Morris could do a job. If in rotation he's on Jokic, I know that he's like, what, 3 or 4 inches smaller, but he's
Yep.
tough, he's rough. He could do a job, not
Tough
all
and
the
rough.
time. Yeah. But I think, yeah, pretty much you said the majority really. But we'll do another question, then we'll get on to some predictions. So, Fardy, who's a Patreon member as well, said, through the playoffs so far, I like this question. The
Uh,
Lakers have a different third man step up and take responsibility. Who do we think
yep.
has the best skill set to step up against the Nuggets?
Wow. That is a really good question.
Do you want me to go
Um,
first, or do you?
yeah, go for it.
So I think I like the Lakers' ability for numerous players to step up. It's incredible to watch. A lot
Yeah.
of people think that the Lakers don't roll that deep. I don't know why, but they quite clearly do. You've got KCP, you've got Green shooting near 40% from three in the postseason. You've got Caruso being Caruso. You've got Howard and McGee, as well, that could do well in this series. Kuz, I hope, will step up. I think we're going to see more of playoff Rondo. Cole said it
Mm,
just now, and I didn't actually see that before I said it, but I think we're going to see more of Rondo. I think Rondo as a facilitator in this series is going to be
yeah.
huge. I think him in the pick and roll, running the offense, is going to be absolutely massive. If you can drain a few 3-pointers as well, that
Yeah.
would be huge as well.
Oh my God. Who would have
But yeah,
thought? Who
I
would have
I
thought,
think
right?
Rondo.
Who would have thought Rondo would be your savior? I mean, I like we were talking about last night. Like I really love Rondo's the cerebral way that he approaches the game, right? But we've seen him this season and previous that sometimes he sometimes when he's on the court he is a liability at times. So, but he has been playing lights out since he's been in the postseason. So
Hmm.
the legend of playoff Rondo lives, and it lives, and it's strong. It's well and strong. Um, so I think I mean what Vogel said, the third man against the Rockets was their defense. I think that's what he said, right? My memory is not
Yeah,
that great. My
yeah.
memory's not that great
But that
nowadays.
makes sense.
Yep. But I think we do have that flexibility. I mean, we do have nights where it is going to be Kuz to step up to score 18 points. It is going to be nights when it's KCP knocking down 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5 3-pointers. There are going to be nights where it's going to be Markieff Morris. He had a
Hmm.
lights out series against the Rockets.
Oh,
Uh,
probably one of the best
one of the
players
best.
outside of
One
LeBron
of
and AD. Yeah.
one of the best. What I will say from if I had to choose one player, I think it's Kuzma's opportunity in terms because he is an athletic 4-3 that can really. He's a pretty good finisher around the basket. So the Denver Nuggets is actually one of the worst teams in transition defense. So if the Lakers can get out on transition quickly, I can see Kuzma running the floor and really getting those layups that he got in the last game that they played in the bubble against the Nuggets. So I think Kuzma does have the ability, especially if he just stays within his game with the catch and shoot 3-pointers. We have seen in the postseason that whenever Kuzma catches and shoots, he does better. So I think it's going to be him. Defensively, can I have a defensive third player? I think it's going to
Yep. Go
be
on.
Alex Caruso. He has been a game changer. We've seen that time in, time out, that when Alex Caruso is on the floor and when Alex Caruso does get minutes, the Lakers do get better, do play
Yep.
better. And this has been a trend in the whole season. So I think Alex Caruso definitely has that ability to be that X factor on the defensive end and really just being hopefully being able to be a pest against the likes of Jamal Murray. So
Yeah. I think
yeah,
when I was looking, Caruso is leading the Lakers in defensive rating throughout the playoffs. So that
God,
just
I
goes to
love him.
show his
He's
defensive impact. What
such a
we're going
great
to do is
player.
we're going to get close to wrapping this up now, and we're going to get into some predictions. Before we do that, I saw this
Yeah.
earlier and it needed a mention.
Uh,
Is the 2009 playoffs with Kobe and the 2020 playoffs with LeBron.
uh-huh.
So in 2009, Kobe beat the Rockets in the second round, beat
Uh-huh.
the Nuggets in the conference finals, and won his
Wow.
fourth ring in Orlando. Fast
Wow.
forward to this year,
Yo,
the
I gotta
Lakers
get
have
off.
just beat.
I gotta get off this IG live. I gotta tweet that out right now. Sorry, guys. No, I'm kidding. I'm
I
kidding.
And then right now, the Lakers have just beat the Rockets in the second round. They're facing the Nuggets in the conference
Wow.
final, and
You gotta be kidding me.
LeBron is trying to win his fourth ring in
Oh,
the Orlando
wow.
bubble.
You just gave me chills, man. You just gave me chills.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy.
Dude.
Um,
Yo, what up? I just wanted to say what's up to Hoops Apartment. What's up, my guy? How you doing?
what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this up now. So give us a prediction. Give us a quick
Ah,
roundup prediction to the point. Lakers Nuggets Western Conference Finals. What's going to happen?
I think at the end of the day, I am confident that the Lakers, this is a matchup that they can win and should win. So if I were to give a prediction, it's going to be Lakers in 5.
Oh, right. So my previous predictions for round 1 and 2 have been 6, and I've been
Okay.
wrong, obviously. Do I stay with that and try and go third time lucky? I don't think so. I I had this down before we did this. I'm going to
Yeah.
go with the same as you. I think the Lakers in 5. I think if the Lakers are firing on both ends, I don't want to
Yeah.
underestimate Denver because it will be tough.
We
But
can.
I
Yeah.
think there really is the potential for this to be 5. I'll go Lakers in 5.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, the Lakers can't come out and take this team lightly. They can't. They got to have that mindset of every game is a must win. You got to
Mm,
have that mindset coming out. I don't care. It doesn't matter until you have 16 wins under your belt in the postseason. Every game is a must win. That should be the attitude that they should approach every single game. And
yeah,
if they do that, they'll be in really good shape.
exactly.
Uh,
So let's let's see what happens. So
yeah,
that's everything. Let's wrap it up. I really appreciate you coming
yeah,
on. It's a pleasure as always.
absolutely, man. Appreciate
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah. And just before we do go, I just want to say a huge thanks to our Patreon members. We've got Amandi, we've got Fardy, we've got both Jonathans, Benjamin, Massimo, Cole, Adam, Phil, and Steve. Your support is much appreciated. And if anyone's interested in supporting us whilst unlocking the full Lakers UK community plus perks, visit www.patreon.com/LA Lakers UK. Okay, so if you enjoyed the show, guys, please be sure to tell some of your Laker friends about it. You can find the Late Late Show on all major podcast platforms. Um, be sure to follow Lakers UK over on Twitter and Instagram under LA Lakers UK. Go and follow Kenny as well, Late Show Scoop. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Both platforms is an absolute must follow, so do go and give them a follow, guys.
sure.
And be sure to check out our website, LakersUK.com. And yeah, we'll catch you next time, guys.
Yep. See ya. Peace.
See ya.